Unhospitality, the #1 podcast in the world.
Well, welcome back to Unhospitality, the #1 podcast in the world. I'm Jeremy, your host, and I'm thrilled to welcome a dear friend of mine, someone who I met working in hotels, probably 15 years ago.
Don't
He
talk
is
about how long it was.
It's been a while. It's been a
Yeah.
while. We're getting older, my friend. Um, but this is a buddy of mine who is hotel adjacent. He's hospitality adjacent. His name is Kapil Gandhi, and Kapil and I met when we were, I'll let him tell the story. Kapil, welcome to Unhospitality. Good to
Yeah.
have you here. Let's give a brief intro to who you are and how we met.
Yeah. Cheers, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you. Always fantastic to be chatting with you. So I'm Kapil Gandhi. I'm the owner, proprietor of a little company called Full Lock Media. We're based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and our focus is providing both photography, video, and content services to hotels and hospitality related businesses. So, more or less, I mean, the photography that you see on their website, the videos that you see on sort of the bigger properties, that sort of tell the story of what's going on site, marketing, social media videos and branded videos for both brands and specific properties is all stuff we do. Started the company in 2000 and forever ago in 2008, maybe 7, 6. I know. I started the company in 2005. We started doing hotel work in 2008. And you and I met in 2009, I believe, while you were, the man at the Sheraton Puerto Rico Hotel and Casino. Am I right?
That's
The
correct.
casino in
You
the
got it
back
right.
there?
I
I
still
remember.
remember all these years later. Yeah.
Man,
So, Kapil,
hard,
I
hard to
had you on
forget
the
that property.
show. Say it again.
Hard to forget that property. Hard to forget
It's hard
that
to
time
forget
over
that
there.
property. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It's an unforgettable spot for sure.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, Kapil, I have you on the show. You're not a hospitality employee, but you've worked with hotels probably longer than most hotel people have in the first place. You've probably spent more nights in hotels than any person that even works in hotels or in the hospitality industry. I think your stories and what you're going to bring to the table today on the show going to give a unique insight to what it's like to deal with hotels as someone who is essentially an adjacent employee. You're a contracted employee of hotels, whether your official business is hotelier or not. Is that a fair way to say that?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it feels like we work for hotels a lot of times, right? Like, and ultimately, when we're there, our goal is to act like an extension of their hotel staff. We our goal is to help guide guests around and make sure they're comfortable, but at the same time, we're there to do a job for them. So yeah, I mean, we spend on busy years, I'd say 3 weeks a month in different hotels. Sometimes a week and a half at a time. Sometimes 2 or 3 days. Moving from property to property is something we've gotten pretty comfortable doing, living out of suitcases and working our way through, the inner workings of hospitality. So, we get to see sort of behind the curtain a little bit. We see a lot of the same stuff guests do, but we're also seeing things in a different light because ultimately we're seeing things that may look perfect to the trained eye or not necessarily, trying to make them look perfect so that the hotel can really market themselves in a strong light.
That's it. Ultimately, you're telling the hotel story to the general public, right? You're the
Mhm.
you're the eyes and ears of what the hotel looks like for the
Right.
guest who's looking on the website. You're the first impression that they're going to get. A lot of times, the promotional videos or things that you're putting out there that come from your camera is what's going to decide whether a client decides to come to that hotel or not.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
you play a
There you
really
go.
key element within the hospitality ecosphere, telling the story of each hotel.
Yeah, I think so, and thanks for the shout out. From some of the stats that we've read and seen, I mean, the average guest looks at 34 images before they even consider booking a hotel per property. So, I mean, if you're looking at the city of Chicago and you've narrowed it down to 6 or 7 properties that fit your lifestyle, you're looking at 160 images, 180 images, whatever, right? So our goal is to make sure that with those images you're pulling the trigger a little early, right? Like you want to see those images or see a video of that property and know this is exactly where I want to be. That's a hard thing to do. Is when let's be honest, right? Like a lot of properties have a cookie cutter look, right? There's a consistency to brand standards and brand looks. And you can book a name this brand here or name that brand there, and you know exactly what you're getting. And sometimes it takes a little bit of work and a little bit of passion and character or some interesting folks on site with some good ideas to sort of bring those things to life.
Speaking of stories that you're able to tell with your camera, you had just come from one of my favorite properties in the world. It doesn't even exist anymore. It's been a hurricane wiped it out, and it's been slowly trying to figure out a way to come back. The W Vieques Hotel. If you can still find that online, in fact, maybe you can even point us to where that video still exists online. But talk about telling a story of a hotel in a specific destination, an extremely unique destination at that. I was so hooked on that video. I almost watched it with popcorn. It was that good. You had such an eye and such a talent for telling the story of that destination and that hotel. If you didn't watch that hotel or that hotel video and jump on a plane immediately, you just weren't paying attention. I mean, that was such a unique, spectacular way to capture the magic of a certain place. Well done.
Yeah, thank
And
you
my
so
hotel,
much.
by the way, wasn't that bad either. When you finally got to my hotel at the Sheraton, you did a heck of a job with that one too. But yeah,
I mean,
that W Vieques, man, that was an awesome encapsulation of what a destination and a hotel really represents.
thank you for saying that. That's honestly, it's still probably a little pride and joy property shoot that we did. This is back in 2009, right? So this is actually the one we met on, where randomly, this was probably like our seventh, eighth, ninth property that we were shooting, kind of buttoned up together. We knew we had a Caribbean little shoot to travel on. So we started off traveling to the WVHS from Atlanta, which is obviously, a little connector flight. You're on a little jump plane. You're shoving gear underneath other gear and kind of splitting it up between two or three planes and landing on this beautiful island and having 6 days to sort of tell the story of what this hotel is or what it could be. Very early on, I mean, the property design work is done. Jose Andres has a beautiful restaurant there, but it's like, what really is this thing? This is like the first real W resort, right? So getting to tell the story of that property really woke me up to the ability that video could have for marketing a space, right? Like ultimately, clean, good architectural imagery does half of the work, but if you can tell the story through, movement, through the eye of the potential guest. So yeah, we really put our time, cut our teeth and put our time into that one and to sort of tell a story that we felt like was a pretty strong representation of the property. But in the process, got to know the people of the of Vieques of the island, and then also got to know the island itself, which is, I mean, it's such an experience. It's one of those things that I think that, like, being hospitality adjacent and not necessarily locked into a specific property and allowed to really travel and see the world from a different perspective. Vieques was a great example of that. Not many people have had the opportunity to go there, but also to see it from such a luxurious perspective. And then also just get to know it like ground level, right? Like luxury, but you're waking up at 5 a.m. with the birds to sort of get the shots, and you're sweating while you're moving around an 18-foot crane around a giant island resort. So,
But I mean,
and
the way you capture the magic there, you had
yeah,
wild horses roaming the countryside. I mean, Vieques is a tiny island. It's not uncommon to see wild horses just running the streets alongside the cars. But these beautiful open fields where you're able to capture wild horses running with this a spectacular island scene. I mean, you really capture the magic of that place. And I love how you just say now, Kapil, too. You see things jumping from hotel to hotel. You see things that perhaps someone who's jaded or who's stuck in a certain spot is not going to see, because you're coming in to see it with some fresh eyes and you're really looking for what sells at a certain property. Tell me a little bit about the process of what you're looking for as you go from destination to destination to really pick out the key elements of what you see that's going to sell,
yeah.
I guess, the property. Yeah.
No, it's a great call out, great question. I guess, ultimately the thing is, like, since a lot of properties and, I mean, the building, the structure is set up to be the same, right? You've got a space that you enter into, so that way you can get to your space that is your room and your bathroom, and you can exist for the time being, right? But I mean, properties that do it well do it well. WV, I guess, was a great example. Sheraton Puerto Rico was another good example. And ultimately, like, being able to create a space that felt alive and felt like it had character, is one thing, but also I think a lot of what we did, our team did, still continues to do, um, when sort of looking for that, is really just finding a lot of it comes in pre-production, right? Really understanding what the property layout is, where the sun's going to be, what the movement of the property is, and designing a really tight schedule, if we're using talent or not, things like that, right? But a lot of it just comes from being on site, and after you do your sort of initial walkthrough, your site tour with the property rep, having enough time to sort of just breathe in the spaces and watch the way the sun moves and watch the way that people use spaces, right? I mean, lobbies can be used more than just like your average, like, hey, we're just passing through, right? People, coffee meetings, or families greeting each other after not seeing each other for a long time. Where do people move to the spaces? Where do they tend to sit? And then also, it's about finding unique moments within each property. So it's properties that do it well do it very well, but it's about finding like those little places that your eye tends to glance by and remember, or that your eye tends to miss. The hidden little area under the staircase, and all of a sudden you've got like that clean little perfect, Wes Anderson looking table, or whatever the case is. You find those little nooks and those little secret areas that you would never know about, and a lot of them have it. Even
Of
your average
course.
small Holiday Inns and whatnot have. So it's about finding that.
So you've got a keen eye. Train your eye to look for those moments. The name of the show is Unhospitality. We're talking about those unseen, hidden
Right.
moments in hospitality. As you travel the world, you're spending about 75% of your time when you're working on the road in different hotels. Tell me some of the untold stories that never make it to the hotel marketing brochures. That's your job,
Mm.
right? Is to
Yeah.
get the photos and the video for the marketing stuff. Tell me some of the unhinged stuff that you've seen, the stuff that behind the scenes you'd never want to even capture it on film, but we have the pleasure of hearing from your mouth today. Some of the more oddball stories that you've seen along your travels.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of an endless thing, but
I
I
can
think that the
imagine the
best.
stories you could tell after 75% of the your life on the road. You probably have more stories. We could probably do a whole podcast around you, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you a great
52
place to start.
episodes. Go.
There you go. Great place to start is definitely the time that we spent with you.
Mm.
I mean, just to be so early on in my career creating work for hospitality, to be able to jump from the WVA. I mean, I'll give you bullet points, headlines here. The WVA guess where myself and the GM jumped a fence to steal a rental car back that was taken from the rental facility a little early. Um,
Wait,
to
wait. They came
exactly,
and
yeah.
confiscated the car, and you had to
They
go
ca
back and get it
they came and
out of the rental
confiscated the
car.
car. There you go. So the W Vegas was located directly across the street from a rental facility that's set up there for their hotel guests.
Okay.
Um, and they had a bad habit of coming and confiscating cars and confiscating the wrong cars. They had just like a fleet of Jeeps. Um,
Okay.
so I remember going out to the parking lot, and I couldn't find our rental Jeep, and I was like, "What is going?" So I went and talked to the front desk, and the front desk agent was like, "You know what? I think I know what's going on. Give me a minute." And then all of a sudden, the GM is
I've
there.
seen this movie before. This has happened before.
I mean, Ocean's 10, right? Uh, so I'm sitting there, and the GM's fantastic, brilliant guy. He comes down. He's like, "I know exactly what's going on. These mother effers, they're up to it again. They've been coming and taking cars that they're supposed to be, picking up, or if a guest needs it, but they'll grab the wrong car and they just move it. Come with me." I hop in, a little golf cart. We travel down the long pathway to the front of the hotel and cross the street. A couple horses cross the street. He hops the fence, 10-foot fence, and slides it open enough that I can cross in, and then hits the button, and we pull the car back out. And the next day there's like, red lights and, all sort of emergency stuff at the rental facility. And he kind of calmed the whole thing down. But I was like, I have nothing to do with this.
You're
I just
like, I'm
watched
just
it
an
happen. I was
innocent
like,
bystander.
I just need to, I need to point a camera and take pictures, man. I don't know what is going on here. So that was,
Whatever
I
fight
mean,
you have between your cars is nothing to do with me. Just let me get my camera and go.
there was a grudge, a debt to be paid. And apparently it happened while we were there.
That's
Uh,
hilarious.
I mean, that was just part of it, right? Like immediately from that trip, WVAKIS accidentally, running our credit card for the entire stay. So we're talking a team of 5 for 7 days. I'm 25 at this point, trying to get my crew from hotel to hotel to hotel in the Caribbean with a kit of like 9 cases. So, $28,000 credit card hit was a little scary. Next thing we're taking a little prop plane from Vieques straight shot to St. Thomas and hopping on a boat with all our gear to St. John to go see your old buddy, Jim Curtis, who I'm hoping you have on eventually. What a brilliant
He's got to
man.
be a guest for
I
sure.
mean,
But
he
but
has
but
to
hold
be.
on. Let's just back up for a quick sec because I don't want to
Yeah,
step over the $28,000 hit. That's a
yeah,
massive hit for a small
yeah.
company. And just explain the dynamics of it. You're there as a
2009,
guest of the hotel,
right? Yeah,
and you're not
2009,
gonna, these costs are not your cost. They're putting you up at the hotel, getting your food and beverage, etc.
100%.
So this was an accidental charge, like as if you were a guest, but you're being hosted by the hotel. So it was really a mistake in accounting.
These things happen. I understand it. I
That's a
think that
$28,000 whoopster.
I, I,
That's
I
not
feel you.
something that
Yeah,
it's not like they ran through an extra sausage in your breakfast buffet there. Twenty
there
eight
you
thousand
go.
dollars is a bit of a hit.
I get the idea, right? You wanna take a credit card, you put the credit card on the folio, you make sure that all the charges for the folio hit that card, and that card's gonna clear before that guest leaves. Of course, all this makes sense. When you're traveling with a team of 4 at, the age of 25 or maybe it's 26 at this point, in 2009, $28,000 a little bit different than 2009, $28,000 now.
Still $28,000 is $28,000.
I'm not saying
2009
it's
to
better, it's
25.
worse.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
that's the
worse.
point. Is that's yeah.
Oh, yeah, and so, there's always, I guess, an ultimately a discussion or like a agreeance or an attempt to try not to, like, run our cards for more than they need to. Early accounting said, I don't know, what are you gonna do? You kinda shrug and roll your eyes and go talk to the folks at the front desk and to get the accounting director and say, like, "Can you figure something out here? Can we,
And eat
like,
ramen noodles
un"
for the next 3 nights because you can't
Right.
because your credit card's maxed. Actually, that's not true. Your next hotel is theoretically picking up your bill for your food and beverage and stuff like that too. Yeah.
True, but I had to foot the bill for the like literal PJ, the private plane we had to take to get from
Okay.
VHS to St. Thomas. So I mean, it
Okay.
was not an easy situation. I was,
You were sweating
you
it
know,
out.
oh yeah, a couple calls to mommy and daddy for sure. Help, please help. So there was a situation. We worked it out. Luckily, by day 2 on St. Thomas, the charges were reversed from
All
VHS.
right. Makes me feel a
So
little bit better. That's a great fun hospitality story there too. How many times have we faced a mistake in charge or something that has to be reversed where it's just either an innocent oversight or
mm,
sometimes just someone asleep at the wheel? It doesn't make it better that they're asleep at the wheel, but it does happen. Stuff like
right.
that happens, even not to the scale of a $28,000 charge
Mm,
most of the time, but still
yeah.
that's a
I
pretty.
don't think people see it to the same degree that, you do when you're traveling for so many days and eating on site and utilizing the site's facilities as we were,
Sure.
with a team of 4 at a resort. It's kind of become a thing, a rider, if you will, of like, hey, can we, if we're traveling to like a bigger resort, like, can we try not charging the card and maybe, our
Yeah.
internet still works and,
Yeah.
or, just charge us for the F&B if you need to, but like, let's remove the room charges from this situation so we
Sure.
can actually afford to do business.
Sure.
Um, but this is part of the business, right? Like, account. The good thing is if you're smart about it, and from a guest perspective, I would assume if you're smart about it and you know how to play the system, you might at least walk away with some points.
There you go. Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
points will get you a nice little another night or two somewhere. twenty thousand
Of
dollars worth of
course,
points got me a night or two somewhere. You know what I mean?
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go. I love the
Yeah.
way you kind of flipped that on its head. It ended up becoming a positive at the very end there.
I mean, the amount of times I'm sure you probably more than me at this point, but that we have probably seen curmudgeon frustrated guests yelling at a front desk agent that is just literally, knows how to check in and check you out and pronounce something and show it to you and say, does this look right? I mean, everyone's just here to work, right? Everyone's here to
Man,
work.
you
And
said it.
And ultimately, from a hospitality perspective, I mean, the goal of those folks at the front desk, if they're trying, is to make your day a little better, right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of our same goal on site. So if everyone's goal there is like make your day a little better, let's smile and enjoy our jobs. You know, you got to give them a little bit of leniency here.
Well, you also have to take out your frustration, I think, where the frustration is. And if there's an accounting issue, I mean, sometimes it's a system error. It doesn't make the
There you go.
situation any better for you. It doesn't make the
Right.
situation, it doesn't make it easier, but to take it out on some poor kid at the front desk who, is trying to put himself through college or whatever the case is, it
Mhm.
does seem a little, just be kind is a
And I
good
mean,
way to put that. Be
you know,
kind.
you're here in Vieques, which is a small island.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
chances are this is just like some sweet kid from Vieques who's excited to welcome outsiders finally to his small island or her small island.
Yeah.
And actually cares to like make your day a little better and show you the beautiful things and the great restaurants you can eat at and where to go, get
Sure.
a horse ride or where the guy for the bioluminescent bay is so you can get your little your kayak ride or whatever the case is. So it's like ultimately like you got to give people a little bit of a break. Now, it's funny as we age or as I age, I notice like myself, I wouldn't say temper, my patience
Your
is
fuse.
a little thinner. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit thinner, but it's all like the thinness is all on people who are not caring or not trying, right? Like ultimately, that is the point of hospitality. Is like
There you go.
going the goal is going over and above. But at least like meet me here. You know what I mean? Meet me at the I just want to get through the day and make it a little better for the people around me.
I hear
So,
you. All right, so
yeah.
going over and above, you've got a story where the GM of the W Vegas is going over and above a fence
Always. Yeah.
to get a car out of Hawk
Out of a
across the
rental
street,
impound lot. Yeah,
out of a rental
exactly.
impound lot. Give me another story of something you've seen that you just like. I can't believe what I just saw. I can't wait to tell my friends about this. What are some
I
of the other
mean,
things you've seen, man?
here we go. The same trip, right? After St. John, getting greeted by your
No,
old pal Jim Curtis and then making our way
yeah,
over to the Sheraton Puerto Rico.
I know where
You
you're
know,
going with
ha
this one. This
oh,
go
yeah,
ahead,
you have
lay it
to,
on
right?
me.
A
Yeah,
fantastic couple nights getting to know you and working the property and really kinda doing our best to give you what you deserved as a fantastic director of sales and really, like, setting the tone and the bar for what a good employee, a good hospitality agent should be.
thank you, sir.
Stumbling into what was a riot outside of your property, which included tear gas and which included bean bags. And one of our guys got a nice little whack to his back and a bean bag in his stomach because he, are young and dumb and wanted to go check out what was going on outside, and that spilled inside. And you did your best to contain the situation, but
Well, so let's sweat the details here a little bit. I remember this very specifically. The
yeah.
hotel had just opened,
Mm,
I want to say 3 to 4 months prior to this. So we're a brand new property. We're next to the convention center. We're not on the beach, which is a detriment to us in Puerto Rico because people come from the Midwest in the middle of winter to come down and sit on the beach in Puerto Rico.
you can
So
see
we
the
really
water.
had, yeah, well, yeah, exactly, exactly. So we had our work cut out for us already in terms of marketing the hotel. Part of the reason why you were there is to help us market it better, of course. We had a big open, of course, since then, they've developed a wicked cool district over there that's got, every bell and whistle you could think of next to the hotel that makes it a real destination in and of itself. But at this time, it was a convention center next to us and it was a hotel and not much else around us,
Mm,
which made it a pretty good spot to hold a protest. And at the time, the government of Puerto Rico was suggesting that there was going to be a tuition hike in the public schools in Puerto Rico. And the college students came out in force to protest this proposed hike. And that's where everything started. And of course, it became a really heated political issue, right against left, progressives against conservatives. It was, I mean, as tense as the political climate is in the world today,
mm.
particularly in the US, this was right on razor's edge right now. The tension was super hot. So it wasn't like these protesters were going to come in there and no one was going to pay attention. The government forces were out ready for this protest, and they were, who agitated first kind of is we'd have to look at the cameras, we have to look at the replay on that one, but I think there was this situation where it was already tense to begin with. So as this tension starts to build outside, literally outside our doors of the
That's a
bar.
boiling plate. Yeah.
I mean, if you're in the bar having a drink, you're watching the protest like front row seats. So
And
the
it's loud.
situation starts, it was loud. It starts to escalate. And in escaping some of the conflict, the protests spills into the lobby, into the bar area. And we got, police with, like you said, pepper spray and batons. I mean, I'm thinking to myself as director of sales and marketing, how the hell are we going to recover? We just opened. We can't get people here in the first place. And this is the way we're going to make the news in Puerto Rico, is that we got a riot in our lobby. Like, this is the wrong, this is the wrong kind of press, right? But you lived it. You were there firsthand for that
You
entire
know,
experience.
props to your team though, because I remember within 30 minutes the lobby was back in order. You know what I mean? Like, trash cans knocked over and stanchions and like glass was busted. And the next thing you know, like we popped outside
You
to
want a
do what we
drink?
need to get some shots. Yeah, and it came back in. It's like the bar, a little jazz music, little jazz flute, like things were back in order. And you were there through all of it. You came in from your jog. I think you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it was not the way I
Fantastic
wanted
little
to be
moment.
greeted in the lobby. The
Yeah.
funny thing is that the next day, I mean, it's all funny, but an additional funny thing to this entire story, I had to give an interview on TV the following day. And my job as director of sales or marketing was to pretty much showcase everything's normal here, guys. It was a really shitty night. It was a very bad incident. But look at the lobby, showcase that the bar is intact. There's nothing damaged. You have this idea that a riot takes place at a certain place or at a specific place and is going to be trashed. Well, I had a job to sell the hotel and present the fact that it was open again. The later that afternoon, after that interview aired, my GM got a call from one of the guys in the government. They were trying to use that story to really go in hard on the protesters, to talk about how they were just destroying the island. And of course, me giving the counter narrative saying, no,
Didn't work
everything's
out so
fine.
well.
It's all good. They were like, who is your director? I got a lot of heat, believe it or not, for being that guy that was telling the whole world that everything was normal, because the politics of it was so thick that I got called out because I was countering the narrative that these protesters were destroying the entire lobby, if you can imagine, or not even the lobby, the entire island for that matter. So it was a pretty interesting dynamic. I'm sitting here saying, I'm just trying to sell my hotel, and I got
For
involved in the middle of a political conflict.
50 years from now, they're gonna be reading your name in the history
Yeah.
books, right? Social studies books or whatever.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. So that's an
I mean,
awesome story, man. Go on. Anything else you
yeah,
want to share? I love these kind of stories that, again, you're never going to see these things on the brochures. Stuff that
yeah,
happens in
yeah.
our day to day as we
I mean,
travel.
so much
Um,
of so much of things are the behind the scenes of just what happens on site, especially when shooting a hotel. There's I guess one story that sort of stands out was when we were shooting. I won't say the name of the property, but at a very large property in Boston, and there was sort of your marketing manager that was with us and the agency rep that was with us. And the agency rep got handed a stack of keys to get us into these guest rooms and make sure spaces looked good as we were working our way through them. And after shooting the presidential suite, we left while she was kind of straightening things up. And the next day, we saw a guy getting escorted out with some handcuffs on. So we're like, what's
okay.
the deal with this? Right? He's like a little frustrated, a little curmudgeon some stuff happening. We hear some whispers around the hotel. So finally, like we asked the marketing manager, she came back and she's there with us that morning. And she's like, hey, I've been meaning to ask you guys, did you leave the presidential suite unlocked or open by any chance? Like, no,
No.
we wrapped up and we walked out of there. What happened? Well, I guess they, decided to do the old the lock before the door to
Sure.
get back into the room at some point and check on things, and it had been closed in between. And somehow, of all the rooms, one guy who shouldn't have been in the hotel got his way to like the 48th floor and stumbled on the presidential door that was open
No way.
and walked in, and he had himself a night. Uh,
No way.
we did like the little charcuterie champagne shot up there for VIPs. He
So
enjoyed
you had
all of
left
that.
everything and all the set
Oh
from what you
yeah,
had.
yeah, yeah. The,
No
the whole
kidding.
everything we needed to shoot just stayed up there, so they could, marketing manager could straighten things up and reset the room. And they somehow something happened where it didn't get closed or whatever, but this person got in, enjoyed the champagne, enjoyed, the couple bottles of wine that were up there, the mini bar, charcuterie board, took
That's
himself a
crazy.
shower, he had a presidential kind of night, like,
Could you
more power
imagine?
to him. More power to him.
Well, I guess the bummer for him is he got caught. He probably
Mm.
should have escaped, get going when the going is good.
Yeah, I mean, really, like, I think it was he got caught and he got booted, but I mean, they really couldn't do much to him, like
What do you do,
trespassing a
right?
little bit, but like ultimately, like, yeah, took advantage of a situation that was right in front of him, man. Like, you
All right,
can't be
so
mad at the
I've
guy.
it's true. I've
We
got a
felt pretty
similar
bad, but
story.
like, yeah.
I went to a trade show in Las Vegas, and my wife is also in the industry. We got invited by two different companies to go to this trade show, which means essentially I got hosted in my own room. She got hosted in her own room. They'll put you up in the hotel to be part of this conference. We've done this before. Usually, what we'll do is we'll see which has, like, sometimes you get a really crappy room or a double bedded room when
Mhm.
we want a king. We'll see which room is better. We'll consolidate and then go to the better of the two rooms. I happened to get my room first. It was a double bedded room, and her room wasn't ready yet, which supposedly was going to be a king. Turned out that it was a king. But anyway, in the meantime, we went to my room. I was officially checked in. It was my room. Didn't plan on using it for the week at this point, but we showered, got changed, went to have an afternoon at the pool before the conference started. Come back later that afternoon, check in, consolidate into my wife's room. About 2 days after this, the conference, that was on a Monday. Conference ends on a Thursday. By Wednesday morning, I get this charge on my credit card from my room. I hadn't checked out of my room. I just left it there thinking, whatever, the hotel's not going to use it. I'll just officially check out on Thursday when I'm leaving, even though I wasn't in that room. I got a charge on my credit card for that room. I'm thinking, well, they already put the credit card holds that they usually do for incidentals just in case, right? I was expecting that to be released after I
Mhm.
checked out, but I wasn't expecting further charges. It was really weird. But I'm like, it must be just some mistake. Talking about accounting mistakes, I'm like,
Right.
probably some accounting mistake. No worries. I'll figure it out later. I was on my way to the trade show when the alert came on my phone that my credit card had been dinged again. Later that day, I go on full day of meetings, et cetera, et cetera. Thursday morning, I wake up and what happens? I get another charge on my credit card. I'm like, this is impossible. There's no way. This is now it's starting to worry me. I go to
Uh,
the front desk. Guys, why am I being charged? Well, yeah, yeah. That's for all the minibar consumption and the room service you've got. I'm like, no, you sure you have the right room? Because I'm not. I haven't been in that room since Monday. No, no, of course. This your minibar is pretty much empty, and you've had, like, charge. I said, guys, I don't have a key, and I don't even have access to that room. So that's not me doing that. He goes, I said, you know what? Do me a favor. My name's still in that room. Give me a key now. I'll go up and see what's going on. And sure enough, I go up to the room and I put the key in. The door's locked from behind, from the inside. It has a latch on. So I knock on the door and I hear a guy's voice on the other end of the door say, no, 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 we don't need service. We're good. They thought I was housekeeping. No, we're good. We don't need service. I'm like, yeah, buddy, I'm not housekeeping. You're in my room. He's like, huh? I'm like, yeah, you're in my room. No, this is my room. I'm like, okay, you stay here. So I go and I call security. I actually went back down to the front desk. I called security from there, essentially, with the front desk agent. By the time security had gone back up to the room, they had cleared out. But someone had, I don't know how they did it. I
hmm.
tend to think it was an inside job. Like maybe someone from housekeeping went into this room and saw that it was empty and called one of their buddies and said, hey, come and take advantage of the room for the next couple. I don't know. I don't want to assume. I have no real evidence to say exactly what happened. But talk about crazy stories of
Wild.
people checking into rooms that
Yeah.
weren't theirs and running up a tab.
That's wild. How many times in the years that you've been working in hospitality have you been assigned a room that was assigned to someone else? Or had someone walk into your room because they were given the same room and given access to your room?
Yeah, it's happened. It's not
Yeah.
it's not often, but it's
Yeah, not at
happened.
all. But it's
You
happened.
know what? You know what happens more frequently.
What's that?
As a salesperson or a director of sales in my hotel career, you're constantly taking people
Site
to
tourism, yeah.
checked out rooms on a site tour to show them what the rooms look like, right? You'll get a list of rooms at 8 o'clock in the morning saying these are your site rooms for the day, and you get 5, 6 rooms. You usually includes a suite or whatever. Well, throughout the day, as a front desk is, if it's a busy night, sometimes the
They're checking
hotels
people in.
will pull those rooms from the site list and check
Yeah.
somebody into that without telling you or alerting the sales team. So
Mm.
you'll go knock on the door, assuming it's an empty room, and you go, it's always customary to knock once or twice anyway, just to see if anyone's in there, even if you know it's empty. But sometimes you'll knock on that door and someone actually answers the door. In fact, the funny story that I had, I was actually a client at the time, and this gentleman comes and takes us to the site tour, knocks on the door. Sure enough, within the third knock, someone answers the door. And instead of kind of like, oh, we're so sorry, he's like, hi, we're just checking to make sure everything's okay with your stay. How's everything going? And the person's like, yeah, fine. There's like 6 people outside the door. The guy's probably thinking like, why does
What am I
six
in
people
trouble?
need to come check him? But the sales manager was so smooth. He kind of
It's
smooth.
good.
We're just checking in to make sure everything's okay. Everything okay with your stay? Oh yeah, okay, great. You keep having a great day, sir. Kind of a smooth way to just
That's a good
not
play.
admit the error, but
Yeah. I'm sure
go
everyone
with the
took a
flow.
little mental note of that one. That's a good one. I've
I
never,
did indeed. That was
as
pretty
many
smooth, dude. Well
site
done.
tours I've been on, I've never seen anyone play it off that smoothly.
That's exactly what he did. He played it off really smooth. So,
Yeah, that's clean. I love that.
well, Kapil, this is fascinating, man. Anything else you want to share with us before we transition and tell people where to find you?
No, man, I think this is a great kickoff. I'm super excited to be part of this. By the way, Jeremy, I think it's killer that you're finally getting this thing off the ground. Just proud to be one of your, one of your, I'm sure many guests, and I look forward to coming back and discussing more. But yeah, I mean, just hospitality is definitely something that I'm proud to be part of and witness from both the outside and inside. So I'm just stoked to be here and stoked about you getting this thing going.
Well, it's a pleasure
There's
to
enough
have you
stories
on,
to hear.
man. And that's what I was just about to say. I mean, this is an industry that I'll be alive for another 2,000 years and won't have enough time to tell all the stories of what goes on inside the walls of a hotel and anything adjacent to hospitality. So I'm very honored you're here to share your stories. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your unique perspective on how things go from a marketing and sales side of things and just some of the wild stuff you've seen. Kapil, you are pretty much the expert in hotel marketing photos, videos. Where do people find you and see your work? And how can any interested hotelier out there maybe get a hold of you as well in case they need some shots of their hotel?
Yeah, thanks for putting that out there. So our company is Full Lock Media. Our URL is fulllock.com. It's 3 L's, FULLLOCK.com. We are also specifically IHG photography vendor approved. So we created a new site for that to check out our 10 roster photographers. That's ihgphotography.com. All kind of interconnected and interlocked, but
ihgphotography.com.
boom,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
All interconnected. You can find a little bit of everything, but if you're looking for any sort of video photography services, any sort of content creation for your hotel, your any sort of hospitality adjacent business as well. Now that, sort of being hospitality adjacent myself, we do work for hospitality adjacent businesses as well, including randomly a parking company last year that does a lot of hotel work. So
There you
we're
go.
here to sort of help create content and tell stories. And that's the thing that I'm proudest to do. So yeah, hgphotography.com, fulllock.com, obviously social media, the usual stuff. You'll know how to find us.
Well, you have a unique eye. You see the unseen stories. We're trying to tell the untold stories of hospitality. I appreciate you being one of my first guests, man. It's a pleasure to see you again on this platform. Good luck to your future adventures. Guests, guys tuning in, thank you so much for being here with us. Keep
Cheers,
tuning
brother.
in, subscribe, follow, and until we meet again, safe travels.
Cheers, brother. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.